congratulations on having a number one defense in many statistical categories. I'm sure you're not looking at it that way. But how do you maintain playing at the efficiency that you guys are playing right now? I know you all always talk about sacks come in bunches and turnovers come in bunches. How do you keep getting those bunches?
Well, I think, each week it all starts with evaluation. So you go back, you look at some of the things that we're doing well. You look at some of the things that we left out on the field that we can improve on. And I think it's the constant theme of week in and week out that we're striving to improve and we're striving to get better. And, and the things that we're not doing well, you try to eliminate those the best you can or mitigate them to a certain extent that they're, not detrimental to having play in and play out success.
Dolphin?
Hey, Coach. One of the defensive statistics that is not going the Dolphins' way is allowing yards per carry. I think you're in the top 5 and most yards allowed per carry. How do you try to stop that, especially with Kyler Murray leading the NFL in that category on Sunday?
Yeah, I think that the thing for us is, we try to be good against the run. We try to be good against the pass and, statistics, numbers, all those things. I mean, ultimately what you're trying to do is win the game. They don't give you points for yards. I know that. But I mean, we're not okay, giving up yards either. Everything that we do has a rhyme and it has a reason. And, obviously we're trying to improve, like I said, the things that we don't do so well. And, the things that we have done well, we try to build off of that. So, as far as the numbers go and all that stuff, ultimately what we're trying to do is win the game. We're trying to keep the point totals down and get the ball back to the offense. That's really what we're trying to do. And we're trying to improve on a week in, week out basis.
Adam?
Josh, your guys, again, going back to the statistics, with Byron Jones on the field and without Byron Jones in the field are staggering. Now, I'm sure a lot more has gone into it than just that. But is it that? I mean, is it just a matter of when you have your best players on the field, you guys are a really good defense?
Well, as always, we'd like to have all of our players available to us. And I think, it's no one-man show. So, and, what it comes down to is we got to get all 11 guys working on the same page. And, our communication's got to be at a high level. Our knowing and understanding of our opponent has to be at a high level. We got a great challenge this week. The Arizona Cardinals are loaded with skilled players. They have a very athletic offensive line. Those guys do a good job working together. They got two Hall of Fame receivers. Their other cast of receivers are very good too. The quarterback's dynamic and Coach Kingsbury has done a phenomenal job. We got a big challenge in front of us this week. And, that's kind of where our time, effort, and energy, all of that stuff is focused on.
Hal?
Hi, Josh. I know Brian likes to say every game is different, which I can certainly appreciate. But watching Sunday's game, I couldn't help but reflect back to the Super Bowl, Rams-Patriots. I'm wondering how much of your game plan was similar to that game. Did you review that game to get ideas? How much of your play calling was very similar to what Brian called in that Super Bowl?
Well, I would say going into a week, I mean, we'll go back as far as we need to go back on a particular opponent, quarterback, with some familiar, any familiarity that we have with them. We'll look at things that we've done, some things that worked, some things that didn't. Like I said earlier in the week, Coach McVay does a tremendous job, makes it extremely hard on the defense with his tempo. I would say there's always elements of some things that we've done in the past, but again, from the very first time that I talked to you guys, I told you our defense, it will evolve over time. And I'm not exactly sure where it will go. from here. But there's a lot of things that go into that. Obviously Coach Flores has a very strong defensive mind. Our assistant coaches, those guys do a very good job. And then ultimately, the players that we have available to us and things that they see and things that they're comfortable with, that kind of shapes, how we approach each week and what we feel is best to attack opponents.
Cam?
Hey, Josh, you mentioned earlier about Arizona and what they're really good at. Curious about Kyler and his legs. I guess early in the season, Cam and Josh had a little bit of success against you guys running. How does it change maybe your aggressiveness that we've seen over the last few weeks when you've got a guy that can, dice you with his legs and his speed like Kyler can?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're very aware of the things that he's capable of, and he's got it all. He's the total package. I mean, he's quick, he's fast, he has a strong arm, he's got a quick release. He can make plays in the pocket, he can make plays out of the pocket. We got a big challenge in front of us this week. And like I said, each week's different. How we approach it, how we attack it. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is to put our players in a position to succeed. And that's, what we're working this morning very hard to make sure that we can do that.
Good morning, Shan. I wanted to ask the question, I guess everyone wants to ask. I'm sorry, my dog is barking in the background. But the question I have is about, sorry, the mailman's driving her nuts. I wanted to ask you about Tua, what he did well, what he needs to do better, and what you need to do better to get him more plays.
Well, he made some good reads. He did some good things as far as understanding what we're trying to get done run game wise, which everybody thinks it's just pass game, but he understands what we're trying to get done with the run game. And he needs reps. He just got to keep working, timing with these guys, and keep getting reps at those reps that he got the other day were invaluable, and he'll start to get better and bigger jumps as we go forward, because the more he sees, the more he understands, the more feel he gets with the receivers. I think he'll get better and better, and he just needs to play, and he's got a lot of talent. So I'm anxious to see what steps he's going to take this week.
One more.
Chan, obviously you've worked with a lot of young quarterbacks. Where do you see the most gains and most improvements, or where do you hope to see the most gains or improvements from Tua as we continue to progress in these starts?
The two things happen to me for young quarterbacks. One, they start to see defenses better, and two, the game starts to slow down for them because it's at a hectic pace the first time you go out there, and then the game starts to slow down the more you play. And that's what I see from young quarterbacks, or that's what I've experienced with young quarterbacks through the years, is they understand better what defenses are trying to do, and then the game seems to slow down for them.
Joe?
Good morning, Chan. Because it was Tua's first NFL start, and because the Rams have a very good pass rush, I'm assuming, if this is correct, that the game plan was focused on getting the ball out quick, short passes, not necessarily targeting a lot of downfield throws. Is that true? And do you envision the use of the field, including more downfield passing, expanding as time moves forward?
Yes, that's definitely true. We knew how good their pass rush was. We were trying to get the ball, trying to get him protected and get the ball out. And because of the way the game went, we didn't have to take a lot of chances with the football. So we hope to be able to do things in the future that that create more big plays for our offense. And I think obviously Tua is very talented in throwing the football. So hopefully we'll make those things happen.
Travis?
Hey, good morning, Coach. Kind of in that same lane of the game plan. In the last 3 games, you've built halftime leads of at least 18 points. When you go into the break with a significant lead like that, how does it change your plan offensively? And if it does, what becomes your new number one goal at that point of any particular game?
Well, we try to score every time we get the football. That doesn't change. But we probably do take less chances with the football than you might if you were in a 7-point ball game or tied or something like that, where you need to go score every time. Then you take more chances. You do. You take more shots. You do things that you wouldn't do if you had an 18-point lead, which we have been fortunate to have.
Cam?
Hey, Chan, I want to see if you could educate me a little bit about the RPOs that everybody likes to talk about. It seemed like you guys ran maybe 3 or 4 early in the game and Tua had a completion on one, and then you kind of went away from it. Is that what you're kind of referring to as far as, the score dictating that, or was there something else and maybe why that wasn't as big of a part of the game plan later on?
Yeah, we just we felt like we didn't need to have to go to that in order to move the football. And, we just, they're good. He's good at them. We'll continue to use those type of things. And there were a couple of times we had them that we handed the ball off and you didn't know it. So, they were still in there, but I don't like to talk about them because I don't want the defense to go, oh, maybe that was an RPO.
Hal?
Jen, I'd like to go back to the topic of timing with the receivers. I'm assuming that since he was second team for the longest time, how much work has he had with some of the number one receivers? And where do you see that going now? Are there some guys that he's just naturally more comfortable with because he's thrown to them more in these first 6 weeks of the season?
During camp, we got a lot more reps. We worked everybody everywhere, basically. But once we started the season, then he got very few reps with these guys. He would get them occasionally, but not on a consistent basis. So last week was the first week he was able to get that on a consistent basis with those guys. And, all that, it takes a little time. You don't just run out there and understand it and throw it. You have to see the guy's body language to know when he's coming out of the break and things like that. So and every one of them is different. So it takes a little bit. You got to get used to it a little bit.
All right, we have time for one more. We'll go to Barry.
Hi, Chan. I know Sunday's game was odd and that you didn't have a lot of offensive plays. Gaskin had 21 touches. The rest of the team, as far as receivers, running backs, tight ends, had 14. Is that a bigger disparity than you would ideally want between your starting running back and others? And just in general, do you like to get Parker, Gesicki, Breida, those 3 more touches moving forward?
Yeah, you'd like to be balanced where somebody can't say, if we just stop this, we can win the game. But, as was said earlier, game situations dictate a lot of things. And so we find ourselves from time to time having one guy getting it more than anybody else. As I said, we weren't taking chances. We were throwing screens. We weren't throwing it down the field. We were doing things like that. So naturally, Miles is going to get more touches than anybody else during that time. But if I had it ideally, the running back's obviously going to get it more because he's the running back. But I'd like to see a balance, as I've said from day one, between run and pass. Now, who catches it? As long as we're making yards, I don't care who catches it. But I'd like to see more balance pass run.
Hey, Danny, good morning. Good to see you. How would you describe Jakeem's level of confidence at this time?
Well, I think number one, Jakeem's always, his confidence level is always high. But I think, and it goes along with everybody, when you have success, that's the best way to gain even more confidence. So I think he's strung together a couple of good games, and hopefully we can continue stringing good games together. And when he gets opportunities, make some plays.
Travis?
Hey, good morning, Coach. I have sort of a two-pronged question regarding Kayvon Frazier. First, on the punt return, I notice he gets knocked down and hustles back into the play and nails what looks like a key block for the big return. I was hoping you could talk us kind of through his effort on that play and just what he's meant to your special teams units in general this season.
Well, again, I think that, that anytime you're working at the point of attack, those blocks are always critical. So, yeah, big block, but we had a bunch of good blocks and a bunch of critical, good technique blocks. You're not necessarily, people are looking for knockouts and big hits, but really just doing a good job of being able to get in the way. And then, Kayvon's like a lot of guys, they're playing on 4 phases and giving great effort, and really doing a good job during the week, especially, with the younger guys. When you take our veteran players, he and Fed and Kamo and Mac, those older players are really doing a good job nurturing the younger players.
Adam?
Yeah, getting back to Jakeem, he now owns basically every return record you guys have, and he's only in his 5th season. One, are you surprised that teams are still punting to him? And 2, would you punt to him if you were facing him?
Well, again, I think that's a couple-pronged response to that question. It all depends on the situation in the game. You were looking at a team with the Rams, that's the way they're built. When they're punting into minus, they're looking to flip the field with, one of the better punters that's ever played in the National Football League, with good coverage guys. They've had a lot of success. So, there's a lot of ways to go after things. The second thing is, sometimes people think it's easy, just to, hit the ball in a particular spot of the field and or on the sidelines or out of bounds and also have it down the field. It's not as easy to do. So it goes into to a lot of different situations, but we're obviously happy the way that Jakeem's performing, and hopefully we can continue to put himself in good positions.
Cam?
Hey, Danny, I'm curious from a coach perspective. I'm sure you love all the game-changing plays, but is there a particular play that's your favorite? A punt return touchdown, a block, like of all the big plays you could have, is there one that makes you the happiest?
You know what? As long as they're for us, I like all of them and any of them. So as long as they're in the positive, I like them all. But and that's the National Football League. There's going to be good plays for you, and there's going to be bad plays. Again, it's hopefully you have more of the former than the latter.